There we go. I'm just your moderator. My name is Drew Lee, for those who I haven't met yet. And we have our amazing panelists today. We're going to be talking about superpowers. So one of my favorite, it's so funny because believe it or not, I actually had one of the slides about 2 days ago when I was building the finalizing the slide deck, and it said, you know, it's like, what's your superpower? And so it's just really, I looked at it and says, there's not really a lot of time. I've got to cut some things out. And the long story short, I had no idea this was actually going to be a topic. So when Simon said, hey, would you facilitate? I was like, that's weird in so many ways. So if you would give let's do like the CNN version, a little bit of your history, and that way they get to know you individually. And then we're going to talk about really the skills and the tools and the resources they need to figure out what their superpower is, so they're still here and thriving well enough. So we'll start on them. Introduce yourself, your experience in business, and what is your superpower?
Yeah, good point. So my name is Shelby Ryburn. I run a team in Greater Sacramento, California, which is the capital of California, northern side of California. Prior to that, I was in leadership in real estate. So I was a team leader for 3 years. I am currently an OP. I was a regional area director and decided to get back to my roots in sales, which is where I started. So I run a team of about 20 people in Greater Sacramento. We do about 200 units a year, and we always have ways to improve. So that's why I'm nice to meet you all.
And what's your superpower?
My superpower is probably being a coach as a human. Like I would say, before I knew it was coaching, I would have said my innate born superpower is being an empath, which can both serve you and harm you. But I just have a really strong intuition about the way people feel. And that has resulted in me spending a lot of time mastering how to transform people through that intuition and those feelings. So I would say it's become a coaching thing.
For a lot of people that are empaths, what do you find is the danger?
Oh, crap. Sorry, I'm being filmed.
We are already so far off. So you know, I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. Is anyone else an empath? Like, I feel people's feelings. I remember as a child when my sister was crying, I wouldn't even know why, and I was bawling for her. And so I can trace it all the way back. The dangers of that are I have to do a lot of self-coaching and or have mentors or coaches in my life so that I don't hang on to that and make it my own burden. Because I can care too much. And in some senses, I want to say, like, can you ever care too much? Well, in my shoes, I think you can. And that can be harmful to me for sure.
I appreciate that. One of my first coaches, I'll never forget, he said, never stay up late worrying about somebody not staying up late worrying. Because I felt that comment. So please.
Awesome. Hey everyone, Ziggy, well, wait, who am I? Kristen Zigouras, also known as Ziggy. From upstate New York. I live in a small college town of New Paltz. I'm originally from Massachusetts. And what a little bit about me. This is my 4th professional career. I've been a nurse, I've built homes, custom cabinets, network technology and communications. And I got into real estate. I always wanted to be a realtor. I always wanted to own real estate, and but I lost vision. I lost sight of that dream, that vision. And I hired an agent to sell my house. And it didn't sell. We expired. And I was like, oh my God, it can't be this hard. So I set out to get my license. And that was 8 years ago. I'm in my 8th year. My 4 years, I was dual career. Any dual career agents? Yes. Do you want to say dual career or do you want to go full time?
I want to go full time, but I also like consistent money.
We'll talk about that. So for 4 years, I was dual career. I always said it was part-time, but in reality, it was all the other time. I had my job, I raised 2 kids, coached both of their travel soccer teams, and did real estate, all the other time. And about 4 years ago, I planned, had consistent income, steady income, my pipeline was full, and it was time to go. So I left my full-time job of 16 years, pension, healthcare, left it on the table to become an entrepreneur. And I love it. I'm a solo agent. I sell about 12 to 15 million a year. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
So what would you say is your superpower?
My superpower is, and I had to do some work on this, so I had never thought about what my superpower was. And somebody asked me just like 6 months ago. And I wasn't really sure, so I started asking people what was best, what did you like best about working with me? What do you think? What do you like most about me? Because I needed some help to uncover that. And I kind of landed with enthusiasm. Enthusiasm, I think, is my superpower, but it's paired with determination and a positive outlook. And I think they really, kind of all 3 of them together, it's like a little trifecta. And no joke, I actually walk around with, I'm not wearing it today, but I have a Wonder Woman t-shirt, I have a Superman t-shirt, a Batman t-shirt, because I really feel like, we have superpowers, we have to identify them and use them to the best of our ability. And especially in this industry, there's people that rely upon us to use our superpower. So it's a great topic.
Well, and anyone that's gonna bet on themselves and walk away from 16-year of guarantee all of those things to be entrepreneurs, there is a superpower in believing in yourself.
Yeah.
And betting on yourself, and who better to bet on? So absolutely great.
Absolutely.
So excited.
You're right.
So who am I? I am Eva Casoria, and I was born in the Bronx. I live in Westchester. This is a second career for me. I was in the travel industry initially, and I'm actually licensed 15 years in real estate, but I call the first 5 years pretending, because I was doing both. And at about the 10-year mark, I decided I needed to make a decision whether I wanted to. I was loving real estate, but I just wasn't sure if I was great at it. And up until that point, I wasn't really that successful. And I think it was because I was splitting my time between a job in the travel industry. I had 2 young kids at the time. And how much energy did I have left when I got home from my part-time job and took care of my kids, and then took it from there. So after I made that decision, we started to become, I say, because I have a small team, and that's kind of grown over the years. We started to become productive and cap and actually make some money. And I was able to say, you know what, I'm definitely not going back to the previous career. It was travel and I loved it. I got free flights, but now I could afford to pay my own flight. Actually, my father told me that, get a job that you can afford to pay for your own flight. So that's who I am. And I've been in the White Plains office, Kelly's White Plains office, for about almost all of my career. And
What's your superpower?
that's me. So I too, like you, had to think about that. I was like, I don't know. And I kind of surveyed people, and I realized after a lot of that my superpower is I am a negotiator. But like Ziggy just mentioned, and I think also like Superman has all of these amazing different powers, right? He doesn't just have one power. And I think being a negotiator requires you to tap into a lot of different other powers that combine to make yourself a good negotiator. My big thing with negotiating initially was I thought negotiating meant somebody had to win and somebody had to lose. And the minute I realized that that was not what negotiating was, that negotiating was relationship based, it was about finding a mutual resolve for people, being patient, communicating well, then I realized, wow, that's me. So negotiator.
If you don't know what your superpower is, a good way to find out is ask those that are closest to you. So, hey, what do you think, if I had to ask you a question, what do you think my superpower is? What do you think it would be? And that's a really good way, because your friends and your family will usually tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. But they know you and they know what are the common patterns that have shown up at the time that they've done. Sure.
Hey guys, my name is Fayaz Desandi. I'm the co-owner of Dream Team United. Our hub is based right outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. But we cover a large section of both North and South Carolina and have operations throughout both states. Last year we did around 325 units, so 136 million. I've been in real estate since 2015. I was a solo agent for 2.5 years, and my business partner and I merged our operations, small individual operations, in 2018. So our team has been in existence since 2018. And so, yeah. And in terms of the superpower, it's funny because I'd never been asked that, never thought about it. And then it was very coincidental. I remember we had, I think, about 5 people on the team. This was in 2018. And then we were starting to hire people. And then our director of marketing created this whole marketing campaign on everyone's superpower on the team. And so she had everyone dressed up as like a superhero. And she was like, she kind of gave up, she gave like everyone like a little label. And my label was a visionary. And then I'd never thought about it. I was like, okay, cool, you think about me as a visionary. I appreciate that. And then that year, at our Market Center Awards, I'm affiliated with Cal Williams, the Market Center gave me the Visionary Award. And I'm like, wait a second. I didn't mind, and that was completely coincidental. Like did not have one to do with it. So that's how I think my team perceives me. And now I've accepted that. That's my superpower.
So along those lines, knowing your superpower, identifying, and even if you just asked yourself that question for the first time, coming to an event like this, how do you leverage that or use that in everyday habits and business?
So for me, I think that's like, we have our roles, we have a pretty large team. I have a business partner, we're kind of yin and yang when we play off of each other. He's not the visionary, he's more of the integrator. And so for our team, I leverage that because I like to speak in big picture kind of format, right? And so when I put my vision out there to the team, it becomes like almost a belief system for them. And it's like, okay, Fayaz has got a vision, and we kind of like, then they buy into that vision. And so that where it's become really powerful. And then we have other people on the team, for example, our director of operation, our director of sales, our director of marketing, my business partner, who see that vision and like, okay, how do we execute upon that vision? So each person kind of has their own compartmentalized aspect of that. And I try to bring that big vision kind of like to the whole team.
And if you have questions and there's something that's just burning and you really want to know, just feel free to raise your hand. We're just gonna let's make this as interactive as possible. Fair enough? Okay, great.
So how do I leverage it? It's the
So
question,
you
right?
leverage it, use it daily.
Okay, so I do absolutely use it daily. I didn't mention that I have 2 buyer's agents on my team and a full-time admin. And in the market, especially right now that we're in right now, I believe that I have a never say never kind of attitude. I don't take no for an answer. I figure out different ways to get a deal, accepted through a negotiating, skill set, obviously. And they believe that. My team believes that. We've had the good fortune to have it work often, because when you never say never, you just keep finding a way around the problem until you can find the solution for everybody involved. So I think that's the way we leverage it in our world right now daily, because it's easy to get discouraged when you have 10 highest and best and you don't get to be the one picked. Or if you do get to be the one picked, something happens in the process and you have to do damage control to hold the deal together. So I think the team has a lot of faith. I'll share, I have parking karma. I get parking spots everywhere I go, usually 2, even in my and I can give it over the phone. So if you're ever stuck, we've kind of made it a joke now that our negotiating, our getting deals is in alignment with me getting parking spots. So we have deal karma.
I love it.
That's why you drove last time.
That's right. So how do I leverage it in every day? So, yeah, you know, I use it a lot. At first I have to, some of these things don't come naturally to me, right? So specifically, positive outlook is something that I actively work at. I struggle with depression, and so, you know, every morning I'm intentional about my perspective of life. So I get up, I, you know, work out. So daily routine, if you don't have one, super important. You know, take control. Back to your, what do you focus on, right? Take control of the things that you can be responsible for, and you know, morning routine. So I work out every morning, and you know, I do visualization, and what I visualize is, you know, opening the door to my full potential every single day. And with that comes that positive outlook, you know, and everything that I do, I choose my words carefully. You know, any opportunity, a challenge, right? It could be called a lot of different things. I view it as an opportunity. And that trickles down to my clients as well, right? The determination, the enthusiasm, I bring that forward to them. So I'm great. We were so in line. I was so in line with your presentation. Holy cow. You know, grit and determination. My job is to help my buyer buy property. My job is to help my seller sell their property. And you know, what am I willing to do to make that happen, right? Whatever it takes, obviously within the law and ethics, but whatever it takes, that's my job. They're reliant upon me to take care of this for them. So it's not my position to complain or to have the negative outlook, right? They are stressed, they're emotional. It's my job to be a level head, to do all the behind the scenes work, and to say, here's what I've done, right? So that determination is, I'm going to do whatever it takes, 100% dedication to get this house sold for you. And yeah, I've done some pretty interesting things. But yeah, you know, that's how I leverage it, is, you know, just being aware and making the choice, you know, conscious decisions.
Please.
Staying positive in this business can sometimes be a little crazy, right? Are you listening to any podcasts? Are you reading any particular book? Are you using any particular scripts in the morning? What is it that you're doing to stay positive? Because the market is crazy. We have crazy clients also.
Absolutely.
So I'm always looking for and trying to surround myself with people who are positive. Even my husband knows, if it's negative, keep it out there. Don't bring it in here. I don't want to hear it.
Yep, absolutely. Great question. I haven't watched the news in over 20 years. I don't watch the news. I don't read the newspaper. If something is important enough, somebody's going to tell me. I am very particular about what I listen to. Yes, I listen to podcasts. I do read a lot of books. Actually, I've read 41 books or listened to 41 books in the last year. Actually, I just bought 3 of them while you were talking. I was like, oh, let me get that one. But there's so much great information, and it's presented in a positive way. You know, even the music I listen to, right? You know, I think again, you know, our lives are in line a little bit, and you know, the people you surround yourself with, the people you listen to, it's no different than the food you eat, right? So making those choices, the scripts, yep, I like, again, the positive, building a little bit rapport when I'm talking to people. You know, our deals, I had 3 deals fall apart at the end of last year, and you know, some of it was my clients doing, letting that text or that phone call sit there for 30 minutes and letting them think about it before I respond. Half the time they'll respond back, sorry, you know, I lost my crap for 5 minutes there, I apologize. But it also gives me time to breathe, to think about my response, and to come from it with the facts and a positive outlook, right? So I'm not reactive. I don't respond quickly. I give myself some time to come up with the best approach. And yeah, always, you know, as I just went through a divorce, right, last year, and within 2 days, I had flipped it to an opportunity, right? Because if I had let myself go down that road, it would have ended in disaster. And I was like, you know what, this is a fantastic opportunity for me to, you know, do things that I haven't wanted to do, live a different life than I have for the last 20 years, and, you know, embrace it. So it's all really about, you know, perspective, change your perspective, change your, you know, the words you choose. Mindset is important as the food you eat.
Brendan Burchard was a speaker we had last week at Bill Howe. And he said that your perspective is what determines your attitude. And I've had the privilege of working with, I think, Mr. Positivity. His name's John Gordon. He's the author of the Energy Bus, Power of Positive Leadership. And I have a bracelet on, and one, just a suggestion. We may joke about, you know, clients in general, but just a suggestion for all of us is never complain about a client. Just make the decision you are never going to complain about a client or a customer, because they have options. And they chose you for a reason. And we get to be the one that helps them in spite of all of the competition for it. So I literally have a bracelet that says no complaining around my wrist. And I love what you said on, you know, not listening to the news. It's like, if something really bad happens, I know my mom's gonna call me. You know?
I like your point of view, because you know, but what's been the most difficult situation that you've had to really stress out and use all your powers to bring them down?
Oh my gosh, you want me to pick one?
Sure, if it really counts.
You know, a recent experience was, you know, I had a challenging seller. Their expectations were, from my perspective, unrealistic. But my job I'm the mouthpiece, right? Who's it? I'm the hired help, right? My job is to provide a service. It's not about my opinion, right? You tell me what to do, and unless it's not in line, right, then I'm happy to refer you out. They were just super challenging, and it was really, you know, I had to step back, right, because it's not about my best interest, right? It's about the client's best interest. And if I can't serve their best interest, I need to step back and refer this out. But I needed to step back, and your point is well taken, because, you know, I don't know what they're going through, right? I can guess unless I know, and even then I don't know how they're feeling. So, you know, being compassionate, empathy, you know, those HSPs, holy cow. But having compassion and empathy, and, you know, just recognizing that we're all human, and coming from a place of love and concern, right? Just, you know, a place of service. Did I almost lost my temper and almost came out the side of my face, and it was like, you know what, just like take another minute, right? Because do I need to say it? No. If I said it, what's going to happen? Nothing good. So keep it to myself, right? And then if it needed to be said, whatever it was, what's the best way I can say it, right? So that it's about me and not about them. If that helps.
Did it work out well?
It did. We sold the house. So, you know, to Drew's point, lifelong clients, not all of them. Right? Not all of them. Most of them. So we want them to be lifelong clients, but sometimes it's like, thank you for choosing me, right? I wish you the best. Use the number. But on that point, you know, when I call somebody a past client, I need to remember that they're also thinking of me as their past agent, right? I want to be their lifelong agent. I want them to be their now agent, as opposed to talking about me in the past. And so that's my job, to stay front of mind for them as well. And if I provide them the best service and then continue the communication, they'll do that.
Forever clients, forever agents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelly,
Um,
how do you use being a coach? Coaching as a superpower in your daily?
by the way, I've never met Ziggy until today, and I just decided that I want her in my 5 from the circle. So we're gonna become friends. I love your perspective. So I'm a big believer that we should be hyper aware of what our superpowers are. I guess I would have referred to it in the past as your gifts, right? Like, you think that God gifts each individual with something that they should leverage in their life. And I feel like I'm doing the most good when I'm aware of it and put it into practice in my life or in my business. So I would say the way that that shows up is, I guess, 2 examples. Client facing, I have a client who was referred to me, and her mother was diagnosed with cancer at the very end of December and was dead 3 weeks later. And so I met her a week and a half after that. And knowing what you know about me, I felt that for her, right? And I told my husband, like, hey, I'm sure I'm not like sitting down and going through listing paperwork today. Like, I'm just gonna go meet her. I'll be home in like 45 minutes. An hour and 50 minutes later, right? I'm walking out the door because I recognized in that moment, she needed me to be a friend, a comrade, a partner, a person in the trenches with her, right? And last weekend, my husband packed up her mom's house and the 40 boxes that she had spent 2 weeks, putting together, and drove it to Portland, Oregon for her. Because I thought that that was something that we could offer, and was not going to inconvenience us, and was the right thing to do in that moment for what her needs were. And I always want to be aware of those opportunities. So that was one. Secondarily, we have a team, and most of the agents on the team, until we hired a director of growth in October, I coached weekly. And so last January, one of those agents came in for her coaching session. And when I say coach, usually it's a spreadsheet of like, tell me what her activity was like compared to what it should have been, what got in the way, very business related questions. She comes in, she sits on my couch in my office, and I said, how are you? And she goes, good. I said, well, what are you going to let your face know? Right? Like, and in that moment, I had the paper in front of me that I wanted to take notes. I closed the binder, I put it away, and that conversation became what's going on, right? Because what I know is that performance equals potential minus interference, and she had some major interference. And if I did not address it, I would not have been the right person for her in that moment. What we wound up doing was having a conversation that she talked about all this stuff that she was carrying. I sent her to Landmark Forum. My partners and I paid for that. She was all in on Landmark Forum. She came back from it, and it was like she was floating on air. And she had her best 3 months after that, because she had gotten rid of this personal stuff that was just weighing on her, right? At that moment, it wasn't about the activity. It was about what's the interference and how can we help you as a people. So I would say that that's how it's served us.
Wow. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm like reeling at the moment, just thinking about how do you know how to prescribe the right thing to the person that's in front of you? And so as you've learned these, because it's like, we didn't make this, we had no idea really what they were going to say as a superpower. This wasn't pre-planned from that sense. They knew what they'd be talking about. And yet we have, between a visionary, negotiating, encouraging positivity, and a coach, what a variety. How do you develop these or improve upon them to go even to the next level for each and every one? Because it's applicable for how, if they identify their superpowers, how would they take that and become even better at it?
Again, like, once you know what it is, like, how do you use that to serve the world is my perspective. You should spend the most amount of time in that space, because that's where you're doing the most good. So for me, I usually ask myself every time the year turns, what do I need to lean into to master how I need to show up for the people around me? So I'm constantly looking at programs. In fact, I was looking at your screen and you're like, a certified coach in this and a certified that. And those are the types of things that for my superpower, I'm always looking into, because the moment that I don't think that I need to sharpen my sword is the moment I'm ineffective for the people around me. So I would say that that's how I view it, is what do I need to do in the next 12 months to become a better coach for people around me.
Absolutely. I'm a big, I was a high school dropout. I didn't drop out, I get kicked out too, so. I think we're, siblings from other. Exactly, yeah. I was kicked out of high school, and then I graduated college with an associate's degree, and and I read or listened to 41 books in the last 12 months. So, personal development, education, if you recognize your blind spots, like take a hard look at yourself, what your superpowers are, and I know we'll get there. What is your kryptonite, right? What are your weaknesses? Identify them and nurture them, grow them, I surround myself with people, you know, the 5 closest people, whatever that saying is there. The people that have what I want and are willing to help me get there. Because there's a lot of people that have what that I want, but they're not gonna help me get there, right? So finding the people that have what I want or where I want to be, and that are gonna reach out a hand and help pull me up. So surround yourself with those people. If you don't have those people, find those people. I think you're in the wrong place if you don't have those people. So go find your people. That proximity is powerful. Self-improvement, you know, coaching, mentoring, it's all great stuff. And I just recently learned I got certified as a coach. Coaching and mentoring are 2 different things. And I was like, oh, I've been mentoring. I love mentoring, but find a mentor, find a coach, you know, that is going to help you improve those things. And, you know, I'm always looking for reading a book, listening to a book, you know, taking a course, going to a Tony Robbins event, UPW. Holy cow. Wow, right? Investing, spending money on yourself. Buying a television is spending money. Going to a training is investing. Okay, that's investing in yourself and improving all of your things, right? Whatever it is, it's improving it. A gym membership is an investment in yourself. Home equipment is an investment in yourself, and that is money well spent as long as you're using it. So
And last caveat, as long as you're using it.
as long as you're using it, it's not a clothes rack.
So you come from the travel agency background, and I was thinking when you were saying, you know, as a negotiator, your problem solver, I was like, I wonder how your background as a travel agent in figuring out all of the problems. How do you harness becoming a better negotiator? Because it's a skill everyone in this room and everyone in our profession, frankly, needs to improve at, because we've been order taking for the last decade. You know, what do you want to list your house at? Sure, we can probably get that or more. We'll see what happens. You know, how'd you improve? How do you harness that?
So I actually wasn't a travel agent. I worked at an airport, and I started on January 9th, and it was one of the coldest days ever at 6 o'clock in the morning, throwing bags on a ramp. And when I left about 10 years later, ended up being the assistant manager at that particular airport, HPN, in case anybody knows it. So I think that there were a lot of things that I negotiated in my life there, but it was
Like how to get indoors?
That was pretty easy. They only left me out on the ramp for about 3 weeks, and then they brought me inside. But, you know, working the gates or working security, and, you know, having upset people wanting to get on an airplane that they can see 2 feet away and we can't let them on because the door is closed. Doing weight and balances and telling people that we have too many bags or too many people on the airplane, and please, thank you very much, I need to get off so we can get this airplane out on time. So we did a lot of negotiating there, and I think, you know, I certainly brought it with me into the world of real estate. But I didn't realize, I think I said earlier to some of you, or even here, that until I realized what negotiating really was, I kind of didn't want to do that. You know, and I didn't realize until I got a few years into my career here that, wow, I had all of this stuff that I had done in my past that I could apply and bring here. And
So how would someone develop that skill if they don't feel like they have it, or they feel like they want to?
so I think that one of the things that I think is true for me is you have to find something that you like, right? And if you like it, you're usually good at it. So if you're in real estate, some part of you must like negotiating, right? Or winning for your client. You know, that's the upside of real estate. So if you're in this and you want to win for your client, and you know that negotiating is a part of the process, you start to either take classes on negotiating, or you surround yourself with people. You know, I used to shadow one of the top teams in my office when I was 3 years in. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do in volume and et cetera. So I started to look at people and really watch what they did. And I'll never forget this. I was shadowing her, and we went on a high-end rental, and she never said no. Never said no to anything, and she always said yes with a smile. And I'm walking around with her, and the renter says, you know, we really could use a bathroom in the basement. This is a rental, you know, high end granted, but still, we could use a bathroom in the basement. And I'm thinking, no way the grandma was putting a bathroom in the basement. But she, without missing a beat, said, Okay, great. Well, we can look into that and, you know, see what we can do. 5 houses later, by the end of the day, that house ended up being their favorite home. And they went back to it, and then we gradually said, well, let's see what we can do about the bathroom. But had she said, no way, had she not been optimistic about negotiating a deal for these people, they would have taken that one off the list. And at the end of the day, we would have had nothing. So being creative, with what you already know, aligning yourself with people that are really good at it, I think can get you there.
Were they able to get the back in the
No, they didn't even want it anymore. We were able to rent it out with them in the basement. They still took the house. That's why that never say no attitude is so important, because you say no and they change their mind. You know, they're asking, I have a buyer right now who wanted like a laundry list of, can we close in August? In this market, August, you want a deal now, close in August? I didn't say that. But can we, what else? They needed, you know, a laundry list of things. Now, after they, you know, have realized what the market is, they're like, oh, we don't need that. Well, no, we could close tomorrow. In fact, I'd like to close tomorrow, so I could do a little rental and stuff like that. So sometimes, you know, your buyers are gonna say something that maybe not true eventually in the process. They kind of grow in the process as well. So a lot of times I will just nod also from what I learned that day. And I'll just say, yeah, sure, we'll look into that. We'll look into that until we get to the point where we really truly have to decide what is really important here. And then you approach it, you know, from that perspective.
What I love about what you said is yes, if you've never heard it before, yes is a rapport builder, no is a rapport breaker. When you're working with somebody, the more you can get them saying yes, the more you can say yes, the more you can be in agreement with one another, the more they're going to feel like they're on you or you're on their side, and you continue to build rapport. The moment you start saying, no, it can't happen, can't do that, there's no way, you start breaking that rapport and it breaks down. They start questioning who you're actually working
Yeah, I almost start every sentence with yes.
with. No, we figured it out.
When I'm speaking, yes, of course, yes. Yes, let me check on that. Yes, you know, never know, because then the conversation is done. I wanted to add one thing to the question earlier about, you know, how to empower yourself or what to listen to. I used to have a partner, and every single day we would text each other something, you know, kind of powerful or funny. I think funny is the healer of everything. And we would do that every day to each other. Just took 2 minutes, any time of the day. We weren't on a schedule. And it was a great way to remind yourself to surround yourself with positive people and stay positive.
Visionary. I find the older people get, at least I've ran into this, is
You're
they,
saying I'm old?
no, not at all. Well, what I find is, you know, like vision is something that people complicate, and it seems like, you know, we know what we want to do when we're kids, we're growing up. What do you want to be when you grow up? My son used to be a firefighter astronaut, whatever that is. That sounds cool. But we're really clear on, when you think about the future, what's it look like? And then I've noticed as people start questioning, what's their vision? I don't know. I don't have vision. What's vision look like? They seem to really complicated. So someone that sees themselves in a superpower as a visionary, how do you develop that? How do you suggest other people develop it within themselves?
So, again, I didn't know this about myself. So I'm going to take a step back. So, when we started the team, I remember exactly where I was sitting. So I was in Anaheim at family reunion. This was February of 2018, and I was the only one on the team that went to Anaheim because everyone else was back home. We literally just merged operations. So they were dealing with stuff back home, and I was there. And I remember sitting in a class, and I literally had a napkin. You know how ideas get developed on a napkin at the diner, right? Well, I was sitting there and I was like, I don't know, we got to come up with a plan. And I literally wrote 2018, 2019, I wrote 5 years. And I put numbers beside it, and I based it on some kind of percentage growth that was, some of it was realistic, some of it was a little bit aggressive, and just based on what I felt. And I took a picture of it and I sent it to my business partner. And I remember in year 4, it was like, we're going to be $100 million team. This was starting from scratch, right? Pretty much, although we had production because we took us individually. And then year 5, we were gonna be based on growth percentages, $120 million team. And immediately my business partner's like, how are we gonna get there? I was like, I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna get there. That's why I'm a visionary. I don't actually know how we're gonna get there, but that's a vision. And he's like, okay, cool. That's fine. Like, you have a vision and then we're gonna get there and then we're gonna plug and play. Now, 5 years later, we literally hit every single one of those, right? We didn't know how we were gonna get there, but we put something on paper and we had a self-belief in ourselves. And then we plugged and play. Oh, by the way, the lady at the end of the table over there helped me get there because she was my team lead and helped us build all that out in the beginning, right? So thanks to Shelby on that. Now, challenge to that was we achieved some big goals 5 years, and it's like, oh gosh, now, right? For a visionary, that's a really difficult challenge. And I would say, and in all the challenges that all of us had in real estate in the last year and a half, this was my challenge. Okay, the team, as we're growing, now we got 20, 30 people. They're looking to me for like more vision. What do we do now, guys? I had a lot of challenges with that, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what we're doing next 5 years. I can keep saying it's a numbers-driven game, but that's not always so inspirational, right? Like, what do we do for our people? What do we do for not only for their families? What do we? So that is now the vision gets larger in that sense. And so those are some of the challenges I have. And I will say that as a result, I decided that I needed bigger people in my life to help me create a larger vision. You know, we just partnered up with Place a few months ago because I was like, I'm saying this plug. Because I was like, you know what? I love the vision of these two gentlemen, you know, Ben Kinney and Chris Suarez. I'm like, that is a massive vision, and I want to be part of that. Oh, by the way, let me take a piece of that vision. Let me integrate that into what I believe is awesome for our people, not for myself and Mike Morell, my business partner, for our people. And so when you talk about like whether you're reading books, whether you're standing in front of the mirror, whatever you're doing to help your superpower, this for me was like, okay, and the thing is, it became a little bit of a burden being the visionary, you know, because you have to have the answers all the time, or it seems like you have to have.
They call it leadership lonely.
Yes. And so after we came with Place, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so invigorated because people are like, how do you feel? I was like, I am jacked up because now I have a vision not only for the next 5 years, I have a vision for the next 10 to 15 years. And let's go. Like, we have the answers, we have the organizational structure, we have all this that I can now help you as a person. Oh, I can help you as a department, I can help you as a team. So that aligning myself with people with even bigger visions was my answer.
And your energy totally changed as you started saying that.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel it? Yeah, it's like,
well, that's how I feel.
we got real quick.
Okay, how do you get people to buy into it?
So that's a great question because some of my top performers, they're like, you know, it's almost as if it's all about trust and accountability, right? If you have not accomplished what you have told them that your vision will do for them, you will start to lose trust. And so for the last 5 years, I'm actually really proud to say every single thing that I promised our people, check mark, check mark, check mark. So now I have top people who are like, I don't know about this Place stuff. It's really scary for me. There's a lot of question marks. And then several of them have said, Fayaz, we trust you because you got us this far. And if you're making this decision, we're going to trust you for the next several years because we know that everything you said has come to fruition. So that is, you've got to follow through in that vision. Vision is only good if it's actually implemented and comes to a reality.
That's a great mic drop
X-ray
moment.
vision.
So please connect with them, get to know them, and thank you so much for your time. And we're going to move on to our next opportunity, next rooms, next breakouts. So give them a hand, please. Well, I realize like if it's in my 5, I'm like,
Oh my gosh, I think I have I have to give it that it just be there.
Shout. Three of y'all just.
Oh my God.
So I'm gonna look for one and then listen. Could that be done the next?
You're gonna get included.
The next one is supposed to start.
Here we go.
So.
We just ran into that issue in Palm Springs.